I'm good. Tim, you want a water?
Yeah, I'll take one.
Yeah.
No, it's 6:15.
Yeah, for the grant.
Hey, what? I need a copy of the agenda. I didn't know what the. An extra copy of the agenda.
Of the agenda, there's one here. I can steal one from,
About a second on the agenda.
oh wait, here I got some. Oh, here it is.
Anybody else here? Great.
This meeting's gonna be brief.
Yeah, the 6:15.
So we'll have two.
I gave Tim your copy of this, so you can have mine if you need it. You want to turn your phone off?
Martin, you want
I found it.
Call this meeting order. I'll stand and face the flag for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Britton Luther.
Present.
R.J. Dunn.
Here.
Tim Yocum, present. This meeting here is a brief meeting for IOCRA COVID-19 small grant small business resolution. And so I want to come over to the mic.
Good evening. My name is Christy Gerald, Grant Administrator with Gerald Consulting and Grant Administration Services. Vermilion County Commissioners are actually going to be applying to the Indiana Office of Community Rural Affairs. This is for COVID Phase 3 for grants to small businesses out within the community of the county limits. Town of Cayuga is also applying for the same grant, so anything in town limits of Cayuga will be with their application. Everything else in the county that comes in will be in there. The top that we can apply for, the maximum grant, is $250,000, which we are going for. There is no local match, but it is a competitive grant. We don't know how many they're going to fund, so the VCDC has, and I've given you a little packet here, pages 2 and 3. VCDC has committed the local match for you guys out of their checking account, which is $6,250. And so the total project cost is $256,250 is our total project cost. Right now, we actually, no other grant administrator in the state that is putting these grants in has started the process except for me. I wanted your application to get a step ahead of everybody else. So we already started collecting applications. We've received 14 applications to date. And if you see on page 1 here, you know, we've got anywhere from Clinton Tobacco and Kenny Company, Core Points, Salon and Spa, First Funeral Home, Wilson Image Consulting, TJ Haas Winery. So we've got a total of 14. We are able to award grants to businesses up to $10,000. Nothing over that, depending on how many applications come in. So if we can get a total of 25 applications, then we can award 25 businesses $10,000. So what we will do, we find out your application will go in tomorrow. It's due March 11th, so we're going to be ahead of the schedule. And we actually will find April 15th as the award date. It'll be announced if you guys are funded. And if you are, there will be a free press release put into the newspaper, the Clintonian. And we will actually open application period for a 2-week period additional to get more applications in from April 26th to May 10th.
Will we open to more?
Yes, because if we receive 250,000 in grant, we really need 25 or more businesses to apply, because we don't want to give back any of those grant funds. So we will open it up for another 2-week period for more businesses out in the county to actually be able to apply. And after that 2-week period, then we will, I will sit down with you guys as the scoring committee, and we'll look over the applications, and you guys will decide which ones, technically, if they all meet the requirements that we've set forth. And you can decide if you want to split the money accordingly to all the businesses, if you want to tier it, and that's something that I can help you with as well when we get to that point. So also, for the grant application, you will actually see on page, if you turn to your packet, 1, 2, 3, page 4, we are required to pass a resolution. This is a resolution authorizing submission of the grant application and commitment of the local match. And John, would you like me to read it out loud?
That's up to you.
Okay. Would you guys like me to read it out loud?
If you can read it by title if you wish.
Okay. So this is resolution authorizing application submission and local match commitment. It's resolution 2021-5, which I got from the auditor's office today. It's just a resolution of the County Commissioners of Vermilion County authorizing submittal of the application and to the Indiana Office of Community Rural Affairs and addressing related matters. And I'll skip down here to the most important parts. Commissioner President Tim Yoakum is authorized to prepare and submit an application for grant funding to address small businesses within county limits that have been negatively affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, with grants to those small businesses. And then bullet point number 2, County Commissioners of Vermilion County hereby commit the requisite local funds in the amount of $6,250.00 from the Vermilion County Economic Development Corporation, which they've already passed their own resolution. And so we would just need a motion to pass unless you have questions about the resolution.
When does it have to be in? What's the deadline on this?
It's March 11th, but I need to get you in tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We were supposed to have our public hearing, but then we had that crazy snowstorm hit, so that's why we're here tonight.
You came earlier, didn't you? The snow.
Yes, we were supposed to have our public hearing at 8:15 in the morning on the 26th, and then the courthouse got closed and snow, and so we actually posted this. I talked with the state. They told me to make sure that the auditor's office posted something on the front doors of the courthouse, which we did, and so that's why we're here tonight. So I would just need a motion to pass a resolution for the grant application.
I'll make a motion for the Vermilion County, Indiana resolution authorizing application submission and local match, resolution number 2021-5 as printed.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Discussion.
Discussion?
None.
No discussion? No nays? Said no nays. Motion passed.
Okay.
Now, I have 2 of these. These are the resolution. I'll have Tim sign both, and then Brenda will attest. And then, because we have 2, I'll take an original for the application, and then I'll give an original as well.
When will you know if they,
We find out April 15th.
so it's not a definite grant, it's a,
This is competitive, so, I mean, there's a chance they could run out of money or we don't score high enough. So we're going to be hopeful. Yep. And then the next thing I need to bring up, this doesn't have anything to do with the COVID-19, but I am your grant administrator on the Vermilion County Comprehensive Plan, where the county was awarded $50,000 through OCRA, the state agency. This is federal grant dollars that trickle down to the state, and Lieutenant Governor's office through Ochre manages and disperses those. The $50,000 in grant holds up to the state until we draw it down. And so HWC Engineering is the procured engineer on the project, and they have met 60% completion of the plan. We started those they started the professional services on February 18th of 2020, which grant agreement was signed right before that, and all the way up till January 31st. This invoice is a total of $30,000 of the $50,000. There will be 40% still held at the state. And that will not be paid until you're 100% happy with the plan and we have our final public hearing when we pass it by resolution. So I know there's a lot of questions that RJ and the rest of you want to ask HWC. I'm sure there's a lot of massaging to the plan that needs to be done. And so that $20,000 will be held until you guys pass it by resolution.
They'll have to wait till our regular meeting, though. This is for the public hearing. We'll need to wait until we get into our regular meeting for this
Okay,
particular
I
part of the business.
apologize. I asked before the meeting and they said that I could.
Sure.
Okay, that's fine. So probably when I'm finished with the public hearing, I'll exit, and then they pass this this invoice. I would just need Tim to sign. And then if you could email it to me, Brenda, tomorrow. What will happen if you do pass this tonight, this will go onto the state website that I have control of since I'm the grant administrator on the project. This will be submitted. It takes about 2 weeks for the money to draw down and hit the auditor's account. Once it hits, the auditor has 5 business days to expend those funds unless she wants to pay those ahead of time, which we're coordinating on how you want to do that. You have 2 options. And and I can even keep watch on the side to, when it says paid, because I think that the old email is probably linked to Tolbert's, but I think Tolbert's comes to you, correct? Yeah. So do you guys have any questions about the small business grant, the COVID Phase 3?
How many businesses have you approached at this point in time?
Well, I have not approached anything because I just write the grant. Last time we spoke with you with Dylan Riggin, the VCDC, Lynn Brewer, has contacted the Indiana State Small Business Development Center. She got the list of all the small businesses in your county. She took off all the businesses that had over 25 employees, and then she even tried to add on businesses that she knew weren't on the list. I'm sure some were missed, but I don't know what they could have done, but they actually paid for all the postage for a full application to go out to every single business. And so that's how they were contacted. So if we are funded on the 15th, we will put in that free press release in your hopefully front page, Eric. And we will open the application period up for another 2 weeks.
How many businesses were included in the mailing, the initial mailing?
There was
anyway?
222.
Okay, thank you.
And Town of Cayuga was included in on that too. So anything I got in on Vermilion County that was in the Town of Cayuga limits, I moved those over to their applications.
Sure.
So today we have a total of 14 that have submitted, which is really good. So.
Okay. We'll talk to you later then, when there's later in the meeting. Is that what we're gonna do?
Well, we need to end this public
I know,
hearing
but I'm closing
if we're
this
done,
meeting.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk to you later.
Unless
We're
there's,
gonna close this
unless you
meeting.
want to
So
ask
would
for
you
other
like me to
comment.
stay then, or? Okay.
You don't have to on my account.
Okay.
I'll make sure that they
Okay.
bring it up.
Okay, I'll get this to you.
So,
Come on.
I can't see with this thing on. Got a meeting to do, this meeting?
Well, you need to close the public hearing and then we'll open for the commissioners meeting.
That's what I said, we'll close this meeting.
Okay, I couldn't hear
We got a
you.
motion to close this meeting, adjourn this meeting.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, couldn't hear you.
At 6:30, we started the actual commissioners meeting.
Pass the invoice.
It really would.
Tim, don't forget you gotta talk towards this.
So don't forget to talk into the microphone.
I can't talk this thing up fogging up.
Take your mask off up here. Turn on.
I couldn't hear you earlier.
I like to keep
Arrest me. Arrest me.
Hey, make sure your papers don't hit that microphone too. You kept hitting those. Yeah, bro. Probably.
What do you mean?
Just speaking honestly from deep within my head.
Yeah.
There is a front row up here available.
Or the highway turns into this.
Yeah, you do not have to create new documents for it. You only have to produce existing documents. So if we don't have a document that has that, supply what you have.
Okay,
And
so do
what-
both of these then, or just?
Yeah, I would supply both of them, and you might enclose a cover letter that just says, this is what we have. All of this stuff is public record, so if you want to send somebody to come and do more research, you're certainly welcome to. That way we're not hiding anything, but we're not working our ass off creating new things.
Is anyone here from the health department?
No, she sent an update. I put it in your packet. They're doing the vaccinations tonight. She sent in
Where's that?
It's right after,
Got too much here. Okay, I got it right here.
right after the treasure report.
I got it right here.
You see it? Yep. Do you want her to, Tim, do you want her to start coming back? They're just really busy right now. I told her that if she could get me an update.
C's been crossed off the redevelopment commission with Scott Craig. They've pulled that till next meeting. So when you get to that, you can just say that they pulled it. They sent an email the other day. Is Mike here? After 6:30.
Yep, you're ready, Tim.
Tim, 6:30.
Call this meeting in order. All stand and face the flag. Pledge. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Roll call. Britton Luther.
Present.
R.J. Donovan.
Here.
Tim Yelkin, present. Got approval of the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second the motion.
Motion passed. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nays? Approval has been passed. Approved for the minutes. Approval for claims.
Have one question on claims. The towns and cities have been 50,000, I think, allocated across for the fire departments and so forth. Is there a reason why that's divided equally, or is that?
That's what they voted last in the.
On the council,
budget.
that's what the county council agreed to last 2 years, actually.
Is that what the E911 board agreed to as well, or did they even have to agree to that?
No, it was just
No, it
at
was the council's.
the council.
Okay. That's the only question I had on that.
I'll make a motion to approve the claims.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Nays? None. Okay. Approval of payroll.
I'll make a motion to approve payroll.
I've not seen it. But abstain. I'll be abstaining.
Okay, you abstain. I second that. Motion passed.
I abstain.
Abstain. You're in favor? I'm in
Aye.
favor. Aye, aye. Motion passed. Okay. The treasurer investment report is,
She's here tonight.
she's not here?
But it's in your packet.
Okay. Britton Luther asked for more information and how interest to be broken out. Treasurer will get that information. That's what all we'll have from her right now. And Trust Indiana. I assume this is what she wanted me to read. Last page, total interest for February $646.47. Total interest for 2021 is $1,911.42. That's interest on accounts that we have in Trust Indiana. Anybody else got anything from Treasurer? She's not here, but you need to get hold of her if you want to talk to her in her office. Vermillion Rise.
Evening, everybody.
Good day.
Just have a few comments and maybe some discussion. Last time I mentioned we had a follow-up inquiry on the Shell building, and that's still in play. We continue to get additional questions, so again, that's good. More questions mean there's interest. We also received a new inquiry from the Economic Development Corporation last week, so that's nice, and we'll continue to work those projects. I had a question or something to pose. I was approached by county surveyor, and he asked about storing documents at the Rise. We've got 7,700, a big building. Even downstairs, we're having someone look at this Halon fire suppression system, which would be really excellent for document storage. So I just thought I'd ask if there's any other interest on the part of the county offices for additional document storage, if that might be a thing. So
We have an email that we're going to send out to all the offices in the courthouse.
Okay.
And we'll get back with you.
Perfect.
Now, when you talk about storage, what type of storage facilities do you have over there to take care of that?
Oh, just space. I mean,
Or the vaults or anything?
well, yeah, the lower level does have a vault if that's spec'd or required, if you want that kind of security, but other than that, there's empty offices, if that'll do.
What we've asked for, Bob, is for each of the county offices to provide a list of things that they could send to cold storage that they don't have to have on immediate use here, that we have to maintain for perpetuity. And so they'll get that list together, and then we'll be able to sit down with you and see how that might be able to be accommodated and what the cost might be, and see if that would work for us. But it would free up some of the space here and allow us to actually maybe document and what would you call it, make a library card of what we have and be able to actually find it at some point in time.
Well,
Amen.
with the asset ledger, we're able to put where it's actually located,
Mhm.
so it would actually be able to be done on there.
So I think it'd be a benefit, and you have the space, and so anyway, it's a work in progress.
Okay, wonderful.
And thank you for, I don't know who brought it up initially, but thank you for whoever did that.
Yeah. Tim, I don't know, you might mention later, but we had an interesting visit to an Illinois company, and we continue to see the fallout of their policies in the state, and frankly, people looking at other options. So that's something that I know our board is interested in understanding those dynamics, and where there's opportunity, go after those, and maybe provide businesses a better business climate.
We went and visited a manufacturing company last week, Bob Greeley and I, and what was his name?
West.
What was his last name?
Brown.
Brown from Indian Economic Development Corporation. It was pretty impressive to go over there and talk with people in Illinois. They want to get out of Illinois. I mean, we're ripe, and there's no reason why we shouldn't be sending someone over every week to talk to people. This company here is a small company. They're very much interested in coming to Indiana, and hopefully we can work that out. But we as a group have got to prepare something to start marketing across the line. And we talked to Indian Economic Development Corporation, and I sent a thing today to them to have them provide packages to us that we can take when we go to Illinois and actually be able to show them what Indiana has to offer. And so I think we've got a real good thing going there. We just got to keep going. We'll find the company, but we got to keep going after it to get it.
Sure.
So I didn't remember.
All right, that's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm going to back up and go to the health department. I guess I'm reading an update from the health department. COVID-19 update, Vermillion County Health Department. The total positive COVID cases for February 2021 was of 71 for Vermillion County. Last week was reported to the Vermillion County Health Department by the Indiana Department of Health that our advisory status, which is what restrictions the county needs to follow, is blue. Blue indicates a low spread of the virus in the county, and they've got an attachment here. It said the total amount of vaccines that have been administered to Vermillion County residents is 3,506. Residents can go anywhere within the state of Indiana to receive the vaccine. Have had some challenges with the weather being a factor, as well as number of doses we're able to receive from the Indiana Department of Health. We're also looking into getting Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which is a vaccine where Moderna is a 2-shot process. We're looking at offering both in our Clinton and Cayuga site, and Johnson & Johnson will be offered at the Health Department in Clinton if it all works out in the process. That's our goal. And just tell you a little bit about this blue, what it says. Now, blue, you can have up to 250 people in a meeting. Of course, you still have to have the social distancing, and that's about it on that. Anyone else got any questions about this? You are in blue. It's a very low rating. Anybody get hold of your local health department?
I have heard from up there at Cayuga where they were putting out the vaccinations. Apparently it's been running pretty smooth. The people I know that have gone up there, it's been like clockwork. They were able to get, as soon as they arrived, they were processed and they had their shots and they were out of there fairly within reason. So congratulations on that to our health department and whoever's been organizing all that for the county. Thank you.
Vermillion Trails Alliance. Got someone here from Vermillion Trails Alliance.
We have not updated you in some time. I haven't wanted to come into public with COVID and everything, so here I am, I'm back. Fully vaccinated.
Life after death.
Fully vaccinated, compliments of the Vermillion County Health Department. Yeah. But we do have some updates for you. I'll try to be brief. 3 things that we're doing. If any of you have been by the new county park, just north of the jail of the sheriff's complex, you will see that we have basically completed the new picnic shelter up there. I think from our, what we can observe, we have probably somewhere between a $15,000 and a $20,000 structure that's sitting there. And our total outlays for that have been somewhere around $3,000. Virtually everything else, the concrete, the labor, the lumber, the roof, has been donated. And so we're very proud of that. And we are waiting now on some, can I take this, can I just talk? We are waiting on some signage that we're going to put on the trail and along with the picnic shelter that will explain some of the rules and some of the trail protocol and trail etiquette and so forth. And once we get that signage in place, that park will be open for business, open for public. We do know that the public is using it already. We're excited about that. The park board is doing the maintenance on it. Of course, the commissioners, you all own the park, and we're happy to see the park district in there having ownership of that, doing the maintenance on it. And the last I heard is they are planning to build picnic tables to put in the shelter. So we're very excited about that project, coming along very good. Second item is the railroad grade at Hillsdale
Before you get off that, Les, what about the trees and things that have been donated and that you're putting out with plaques and so forth, and the educational trail?
We have, at this point in time, we have added 30 trees, 30 different unique species of trees, all of which are native to Indiana. And we have supplied those trees and planted those trees. A lot of those trees came out of my woods using my tree spade. But we've had donations to support that process, $100 per tree. And we have raised, Lynn, I think somewhere around $2,500 in donations for trees. And for each donation of $100, you get a little sign that says who this is in memory of. It has the species, the common name, the scientific name, and whatever memorial or person that donated it. In whose memory and all those sorts of things. So we've had wonderful participation in that. But our goal there is at this point in time, considering the species that were already on the site, like the sassafras and the black cherry and the box elders, there are at least 40 different species of native Indiana trees on that site. So it's going to be a remarkable and really nice educational facility. And we're excited to see our schools. I've already seen the forestry team with the 4-H. I've already seen the forestry team out on the trail. And I went out there and I hugged a tree for them so that they know that that's okay. Any other questions on the park? Okay, moving down to Hillsdale, the railroad grade. We had gotten, as you all know, this is your project. This is a commissioner's have applied for and received the grant. Vermilion Trails Alliance is doing all the work. We are facilitating the process for you, but our goal is to come from the bridge, the new pedestrian bridge across the old railroad bridge here at Montezuma. We want to develop the railroad grade on the Vermilion County side, get to the railroad, and then go south across the creek to a public crossing, so that we can get to a public road on our side of the county. And so that will make a tremendous link, potentially connecting, multiple counties. We have facilitated or gotten for you a $150,000 grant from the Wabash River Heritage Corridor Commission. We have a 20% match for that grant, and so right now we have on deck somewhat north of $200,000 project that we're going to start on that in late summer, as soon as when the creek gets dry, okay, when we can cross the creek, because we have to do a creek crossing to do that project. We have done some work on that. We have people out there right now cutting brush. We have young people, football teams and stuff that are stepping up to help us stack the brush. Again, a wonderful opportunity for people in the county, young people, to participate in a community project, and we're very proud of that project as well. Our goal is to complete that project by at least within a year of now, and that will get us out to the railroad grade, or to the active railroad. Any questions on that project?
Was that in cooperation with the DNR, some part of that?
Well, DNR administers a program that's called the Wabash River Heritage Corridor Commission. That is funded by money that it comes from royalties from oil that is pumped from underneath the Wabash River. A lot of that oil that's pumped from under the Wabash River is down in the Posey County, kind of south. But anything that is drawn, the state gets royalties. And the legislature back a number of years ago, they earmarked those royalties to this fund. And from this fund, money's become available, and the commission, the Wabash River Heritage Corridor Commission, has managed to allocate somewhere around $300,000 in grants every 2 or 3 years. As a matter of fact, the new boat ramp that they built down at Clinton was funded from that fund. And now our project is going to be funded from that as well. So the commission consists of counties that are adjacent to the river, starting up at the source up south of Fort Wayne, all the way down to where it dumps into the Ohio River. So every 2 months, I'm a commissioner, I'm an alternate commissioner for that commission. It just so happens to be. Might have been a little helpful in getting that grant. But so every 2 months when we have a meeting, I get to meet people from all over the state, and we get to go to different counties for our meetings. So other questions on that project?
Do you guys have a insurance policy now for your group?
Beg pardon?
Do you have an insurance policy for Vermillion Trails Association?
Entrance policy?
Insurance policy.
Insurance policy. We have, what is it, errors and omissions for our board. As far as any liability for any projects, we do not own any projects. You own the projects. And we went through all of that with the previous set of commissioners. We looked at all the insurance implications. And so all of the liability for the trails, the parks, and everything falls under existing insurance policies, and there was no additional cost to the county. We made very sure of that before we started on all this process. Other questions? Third and final thing I want to hit on is, as a group, the Vermillion Trails Alliance has been trying and working with Vermillion Rise and the Reuse Authority to find ways to get public access to Vermillion Rise. I know a lot of folks out here are probably frustrated because, hey, wait a minute, that's part of the county, how come we can't get in there? There's a fence and all this stuff. And obviously there are security concerns at the Vermillion Rise, and we need to respect that, but we're looking for opportunities to get people inside. A year ago, we had a bike ride out there, had good turnout. The folks out here at the staff and everybody out at Vermillion Rise was very helpful in that event and cooperative with us. And so we decided we were going to have another bike ride this year, but COVID kind of shut that one down. But on April 10th, we are having a half marathon and a 5K race at Vermillion Rise. We're very excited about that. We've got pretty good response so far. Eric, I just called up today and ran a couple ads with the Clintonian. We ran ads with your competitors over there across the river, but we're looking forward to that event. And it's an opportunity to bring folks from out of our county into our county to see what kind of awesome place this is, to see what kinds of facilities, to see the Rise, and to kind of start to set a precedent to gain public access to the Rise. We're exploring different ways that we can get the public into the Rise. And again, on this go-round, the staff out at the Rise has been very helpful with us, this process, and I think we're going to have a great event. So put the word out, or sign up and run. That's all I have. Anybody, any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
And anybody can join Vermillion Trails Alliance. Costs you $20. $20 a year.
Or a lifetime membership.
Lifetime membership, $250. I'm a lifetime member. And Britain is too, yes.
Next on the agenda, jail renovation. CMA, you want to talk about that, Britton? What we got planned?
Oh, jail renovation?
Yeah.
We're still in negotiation on the construction management portion of the work. Right now, we're still talking with Garmong. We have a meeting with them Thursday, which we hope to finalize, or not necessarily finalize, but come to agreement on the contract language and also on the fees that will be assessed to that. Assuming that comes to pass, then hopefully next Tuesday, or Monday or Tuesday, we'll have a special meeting which will be able to sign those contracts and get them to work on the project. Right now, we're still looking between April 1st and April 15th for letting the contracts for the project out. Hopefully by May 15th, we'll have those back in fold and be able to analyze those and start awarding those contracts come June 1st. Hopefully we'll be in the ground somewhere right around July 1st to August 1st, depending on how the bonding and the sale of those bonds go. So that's a tentative guideline or timeline. We're still looking at approximately a 2-year project once construction begins. That's about it.
Any questions on the jail project? The board appointments is next on the agenda. I don't know if we want to deal with that tonight or not.
The, I think the only board appointments that we are looking at potentially is on the drainage board, and that's been taken under advisement at this point. We're still being held by the 3 county commissioners as far as the drainage goes.
Okay.
At the next meeting that we have, we may be considering the some other individuals to replace
Okay.
the commissioners.
Can you put that on the agenda for next meeting? County property lease agreement.
I just need to know what you guys want to do with that. I know it needs to be published in the paper before we can do anything, but I not got a contract on what you guys were gonna do. I still have a bid from previous, someone put in a bid from the previous time. So, we have to advertise it in the paper before we can accept it.
The last contract we had of last year, was it
It was the one that was
multiple
showing
years?
Right, but it was also showing that the jail was included in it, so we need a new contract.
Okay, but my problem is that contract for multiple years. He signed.
Well, this is the old one.
Look at that and tell me what. We're talking about the county property out by the jail. One of the issues we had with it was leased out for many, many years. And come to find out, the jail was on there and the humane shelter, because when it was leased out, then places wasn't there. And Brett had worked on it and corrected that problem, right, in that
There's
It is for
I'm-
just 1 year.
for 1 year.
So it needs to be redone this year.
right. I did draft up I'm not sure exactly where we stand as far as the lease goes. From what I understand, the commissioners last year had gone out for bid on this and accepted bids. When we went to approve that, there was issues with the description, which I've corrected those and outlined the actual parcel that's to be leased. According to the minutes last time, though, and I didn't quite recall it this way, but according to the minutes, the lease was, I guess the commissioners had decided that we were going to go out for bid again at this point, as opposed to accepting the bids that we had last time. Is
We
that
only got 1 bid last time, and
Or
then the one person that has won it last year has a chance to put in it over through where the agreement goes. So that's what I'm saying. We have to advertise it for people if we want to do it. If not, I mean,
Was this advertised?
not this year.
Wasn't advertised yet? I think what I'll do is go back and advertise it for open bid.
I really don't have an opinion on.
Well, it was only a 1-year lease, so that year's up. You know what I'm saying? So we're back to negotiating, doing something with it anyway, because it hasn't been.
Tim, I would agree to that. Is there a stewardship clause in that?
In the new,
Not in the current one that I just
Not the new
drafted,
one.
no. In the old one, I think there was some type of stewardship clause in that one, but not in the current draft.
The original one, the current leaser had a right to counter bid any bid, as long as he came over 1% above it, I think it is here.
Yeah.
And that's, if you want to change that, we can change that. What do you guys think?
I think there's something to be said about stewardship, especially for somebody that's been out there several years. So, I mean, if we're going to advertise it, I'd like to see that stewardship clause stay in the contract or the lease.
I guess I have mixed emotions about a stewardship clause on a public properties, in that we're potentially looking at letting this be a multi-year contract as opposed to a 1-year contract, somewhere either a 3-year or a 5-year. Right now it's written as a 3-year. Because of that, I don't believe that a stewardship clause, or what we call a stewardship clause, would be appropriate on public grounds.
Well, number one thing, I think we've got to do something with it this year. I mean, we got to come up with either bidding it out and doing something with it. So, because the existing lease or rent was only for 1 year, so that's up. So we got to make a decision on what we're going to do with it, and then put it up for bid. And that's what I'm recommending.
so are you going to put a stewardship clause in it or no?
I think we're gonna have to take it out because it's public property. I mean, I don't want to, but it's public property, and when it's public property, I think that by limiting someone, we
So we'll advertise it.
restrict. So, we gotta bid it out.
Okay.
And so,
Les has something to say.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Question, first of all, I don't see why you're reluctant to include a stewardship clause. I mean, just because it's public property, I think we have the right, as I'm a part owner of that property, to expect a certain level of stewardship. So, to your point, RJ. But another point that I want to bring up that I think, and I'm speaking from the standpoint of the Vermilion Trails Alliance and possibly from the park board, since we've created that park there is an opportunity at some point to expand the park to the south to include the entire triangle that lays directly to the south of that park and to the east of the creek. And possibly, we talked about doing a prairie restoration or another aspect to the whole nature thing. So my request for you in consideration of this would be to leave an opening in that contract, in that whatever, to have the option to remove a certain designated acreage from the lease at your discretion, obviously given a notice of a year or whatever. In the event that we do have the resources or the will or the wish to expand that park. I would hate to see that thing tied up for 5 years without that option in place. But I think we've got a nice thing going out there, and I think what I'm seeing is I'm seeing the Vermilion Nature Park, and I'm seeing something like you got Forest Glen over here at Vermilion County, Illinois, and I think we've got an opportunity there. And the other thing that this would do, if we could include this in the park, that would then connect the existing park to the woodland, the very nice woodland that lies directly east of the Humane Shelter and the Sheriff's Office. For your information, the Humane Shelter and our group have collaborated to identify some trails from the Humane Shelter through that woodland over to the creek and back for volunteers to walk dogs. We've had young people out there marking potential trails, things. And if we could have a contiguous area there, which might amount to maybe 20 acres. I don't know what it is. But I would like to see you at least put the option in this contract for you to give like a year's notice to pull some of that land out of it. So, and I'll be happy to spend whatever time it takes to talk to you about what that might look like. But before you pull the trigger on this thing, I would ask that you would consider that.
Do you understand what the stewardship clause is in this agreement?
I think it has something to do with conservation and appropriate land management.
No, what it gives is that whoever is successful in the bid can agree to override the next bidder by 1% or something. So if somebody bids $100, they can bid $110.
I apologize, I'm entirely misconstrued.
Well,
I
it's
apologize for that.
it's
So
understandable.
you understand what you said then?
So I take that back. I was approaching it, no, I was approaching a stewardship clause strictly from a conservation standpoint.
Well, the intent of it was, I believe, is that whoever was putting monies into the ground, into the land, into perpetuating the use of it, could continue to do so, and whether this really does that or not, that was the intent of it anyway.
Okay, well, that's just the
I know.
that's the tree hugger in me.
Right.
The story of the situation is this ground had been leased out to a current local person for years, and it was a agreement that commissioners have made with that person, and he had the right, when it came up for bid, he had the right to counter any bid that came in at 1% above that. That is what we're talking about. So that's what we're looking at. We're looking at public property, and I don't
Who
know.
maintains the fences and the gates and that on that property?
Say
He
what?
runs cattle on it, right?
Right.
So who does the fences? Who maintains those?
In the past, the renter has.
I think that's.
So he's got a sizable investment there.
Right, and I think
think.
that's the reason it was set up that way, because he did maintain the fences and the gates and things, so if that would happen, and he put the gates up, and is he gonna be, I mean.
I think,
don't know.
I think we're going in the direction that it's going to have to be rented out openly, open bid to anyone, and I think the highest bidder should get it. I think this year with Mr. Hall, with the current renter, I think we ought to honor the agreement with him for one more year, and that will give him more time to prepare. I mean, to come up and shut him down, and he got investment there, I think would be proper, in my opinion, as far as accounting. And what I would like to see is my suggestion is honor his agreement for one more year, but let him know ahead of time next year it's going to go with public. And I think it's a courtesy and a good thing to do to the current renter. That's what I'm suggesting.
Well, and that would give us an opportunity to kind of consider this other thing too.
I mean, it's a long time agreement, 40 years or 50 years of, you know, and I believe we have some commitment to that person, and if they know ahead of time next year that this thing's going to be public, to give them more time to think along that line. And right now, I would recommend we go with the same procedure, bid it out, open bid it out is my suggestion, and bid it out, and he would have the right to do 1% above it, and then this next year it'd be open bidding out. That's my suggestion. It's open for call.
So Tim, you're wanting to do the same thing we've done last year, this year, keep the stewardship clause in there, up at 1%, and then next year take the stewardship.
Yeah, and be open.
Okay. I'd be in favor
Because
of that.
there's too much he has, I think, to move on this right now and shut that down, and he's got an operation there. I don't think it'd be a courtesy.
I guess I'm at a little bit of a loss here. You're wanting to go out for bid again?
Yeah, same as we did in the previous years.
But have the clause.
For
in
1
it.
year?
Yeah, for 1 year.
And then for
And
a,
this clause
for a
will
new
go away.
description, I assume?
Yeah, and the calls will go away next year.
But you're, okay.
That's what I'm suggesting. I want this has to be all open to everybody next year. But I'm saying we're already into this year, and get this year over with, and the next year go to a complete open bid on that, where he got.
Why don't we just extend the lease to this year with a new agreement on actually what the parcel is, instead of going out for bid? By the time you get bids in, we're gonna be
June.
6 months into the year, by the time we make a decision.
Can we continue the lease
Yeah.
for 1 year?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with
Just
doing that.
continue until December 31st of this year,
And then we'll,
and then we'll have it open for bids at that point in time.
Okay.
Just outside that, we contingent upon having a proper description of the land that's
Yeah.
being leased.
someone want to make a motion for that, or what do you want to do? That we continue the lease, okay? You know, under the code.
I'm still open for discussion. That's just an idea, so.
I would support that idea as well, extending it for the current year.
Okay, I just think it's worthless to try to go out for
Yeah, I
bids
agree
on
with
this
that one,
thing
but also,
for this time.
I respect the current property owner, not property owner, but the one who's leasing it for 1 more year, and then he has time to prepare for next year, which will be an open bid, and that'll all go away.
Sure, now there is other things in the lease agreement there, if we want to incorporate those into it, because it didn't have anything about insurances or the use of the property for anything. Do we want to incorporate those ideas or that language into it as
Would
well?
that change everything this year? I think we better deal with that next year.
Okay, you know we're being exposed on insurance, that if something happens out there, or
We
if he
can
takes
request-
out a lien or anything on the property, none of that language is in there at this point.
Well, we can request a proof of insurance on that also, add that to the thing, but then we're gonna start messing around with the contract.
The contract was worthless in the first place, I thought.
That's side the point right now. We gotta make a decision. Someone make it.
Those are my comments.
Someone will make a motion, we continue the same contract for 1 more year?
I'll make a motion that we extend the current lease till December 31st of 2021, contingent on the fact that it's an updated agreement with the proper land listed?
No insurance requirements or anything to that
We can
effect?
put that in there, based on insurance requirements of the only insurance, and we'll have to put it out for bid.
You got a problem, man?
I said the bid, you're not doing the bid, right?
No.
Okay, that's what
It
you
is
said.
continuation of the lease with these other terms, I believe would be the way to say it. I'm in agreement with that, we, as long as we have the county protected with the
Right.
appropriate insurance and,
But next year, it will be changed.
Okay.
So you got a motion?
Yeah, and you mean do it again, or?
he had a motion, he just didn't have a second.
Any second? Earl?
No, I think it need to be restated. Let that motion die and restate it.
I'll make a motion that we extend the current lease on the county property with the updated requirements, insurance, the land, and extend it to December 31st of 2021.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Conversation?
Pass that.
I'm learning. Okay, motion passed. You know what to do then, right? Okay,
What were the insurance requirements on that on the new one?
we'll work on that.
There's not a dollar amount put in that.
We'll see what the county needs to require, and we'll send them a message on that. Thank you for that conversation. I'll get back here and get to back to my agenda. Okay, we got new business. We got HR, any faults, and intro to USI, please.
Good evening. I just wanted to bring in USI. We've tried a couple times, but due to weather and other issues, she has not been able to make it in. So I just wanted to bring in USI and let her introduce herself. She is our current agent for insurance, for medical, dental, and vision.
So we are in the renewal bidding process, as we do every year. It is okay if I take this off, right? Okay. My name is Jackie Pentel. I work with USI Insurance Agency. We're a very large, robust agency across the United States. We have over 8,000 employees, which gives us quite a bit of pull with the heavy hitter insurance companies. I only have a couple minutes, I know, but I wanted to share that we have started the process as we do every single year, and we go to every insurance carrier to get fully insured, level insured, self-insured quotes from different TPAs. We own our own stop-loss consortium, so we tap into that also. Here's my cards to pass out, and it has my personal cell on there, and those of you that I've helped with insurance know that I give my personal cell to every single employee here. You can call me in the evenings. You have called me on weekends. You have called me on vacation. I'm available 24/7. So I'm just going to give you a little snapshot just to bring the two new commissioners up to date. We have been blessed, and we have a very strong behind-the-scenes bench of service account team for this group. That we have underwriters, we have pharmacy consultants, we have medical directors, we have, I mean, the list goes on, and I know this isn't an insurance meeting, I'm sorry, I'm just proud of where I work, and we've done a good job. I'm able to report in the last 5 years, we have either had slight decreases or rate holds in this county, 5 years. So, for anybody that works in insurance knows that's just unbelievable. So, the couple years before that, we had slight increases of 4% and 5%. So I've been your agent for around 10 years, and we have left a pretty good mark here, and we are hoping to continue to do that. So feel free, commissioners, to call me with any questions. We've met with the insurance committees. We've had, several hour meetings with them.
Anita's been fantastic to work with through the years, and she sent out yesterday some forms that we need online. They're protected by firewalls, and we'll be able. And the reason why we did this is because you only have to fill it out one time, and we will populate to all the insurance carriers. I'm never going to see your medical information. Anita will never see. The only people that will see it will be the underwriters at the insurance company. Okay? So, with that being said, I know I'm sorry I went over my 2 minutes, but if you have any questions, call me anytime. We will be meeting with you as our process goes on, but because of COVID, I hadn't been able to put faces with voices, so I wanted to come in, and Anita was gracious enough to let me. So, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Apex Clean Energy. I want to say something before they come. This is just a general meeting tonight for them to express what they're wanting to do. There will be more meetings on this, and I know that they will have open meetings with everyone. So if you don't get your question answered, I want to let you know you will get your question answered. So I know that they will work with you on arranging another time to discuss a lot of this stuff. So.
Thank you. Absolutely. So we've been here before. We have been to commissioners' meetings for the solar ordinance. We've been to a number of APCs, so we're not strangers to many of you. Of course, we wanted to come before the 2 new commissioners and introduce ourselves. So that's our only purpose tonight, is a quick introduction. I know you've got a long agenda, so we're going to keep it very short. My name is Kent Doherty. I'm a developer with Apex Clean Energy.
My name is Megan Van Buren, and I'm a developer with Apex Clean Energy.
I've worked with Apex for about 10 years. I've been in the industry for about 12 years. I've worked throughout the Midwest and the Great Plains. Started off actually 10 years ago in Indiana, up in Wells County, a long time ago. I'm glad to be back. Real quick about Apex, most of you know already, but we're based in Charlottesville, Virginia. We've got satellite offices all over the country. A large presence in Minneapolis, where most of our Midwest operations are based. We are privately owned. We are a U.S. based and U.S. funded company. We have currently about 250 professionals working with us. We cover really the gamut of renewable energy. We do project development, engineering, financing, construction management, and operations. We run a number of projects, operating projects, both solar and wind, throughout the country. We currently have about 1.5 million acres under lease in this country. We develop both wind and solar projects, and also battery storage projects. And so that's a very quick introduction to myself and to the company, and I'm going to let Megan speak a little bit about the solar project.
Yeah, and again, this was just, we have 2 new commissioners. We hadn't met, so just wanted to give you a brief update in regards to the solar project named Let's Creek Solar. We were happy to work with the county. We've got the solar ordinance underway, and we still have a lot of great landowner support and interest. And so we're just moving along with that. We will, we've been working with Baker Tilly on an economic impact study. I have some analyses here I can hand to you all. That's not the full report, but that gives you a rundown of what you'll see from revenue and just tax basis. Next step, just a little bit of a timeline. What we'll do, the next step, we'll continue in our MISO queue. So we're in the queue for 200 megawatts. That continues. What will happen next is we'll work with you all with the permit. So we'll be, I would say, applying for that come end of summer.
You said 200 megawatts of solar?
Correct, that's solar. Yeah. And after we obtain the permit, so that will be end of summer, so you'll be seeing us come around for that. We'll then move into, in 2022, we'll move into the commercialization of the project. The project will go out to market, and we'll look for power purchaser on it. We look for this project to be about constructed and fully operating by 2023.
By 20 what?
2023.
By the end of 2020.
So that's just a brief timeline, but I just wanted, again, hadn't met Brendan, I've talked to RJ, and I've talked to you. But
you said 200 megawatt, and how much acreage would that 200 megawatt?
So that equates to about 1,400 acres of land. I don't know if you want to talk about wind.
Yeah, I'll just, so we're also looking at a potential wind project in the county, as most of you know. And before even talking further about it, I want to be very clear on timelines with the wind project. Because of the very long application process for MISO, as Megan mentioned, that's the Midwest Independent System Operator. Those are the folks who manage the grid in this part of the world. No project could begin construction here before 2025. So it takes that long. There's no shortcuts. It's lengthy, it's expensive, and we're currently in that process with, again, no way to shortcut it. So if we discuss a wind project, it's not a project that could possibly happen tomorrow or next week or next year or even the year after that. We will likely get our interconnection agreement with the transmission grid in 2024, which would allow us to start construction in 2025. So again, I just wanted to, I think it's very clear. I think some folks might think something's coming soon or quickly. That is absolutely not the case. Whatever developer came to Vermilion County or any other county in Indiana to develop a project, they'd be under the same timeline, unless they were already in the queue. Because we have some time to do this right, we at Apex have talked a lot about a very, very different approach here in Vermilion County. And that approach would be very different than our normal one, where we go out, we lease a lot of land, we put up Met towers, we get our information, our data, we go back to the office, our engineers design a project, we come back to you with a plan, say, here's a plan, will you please approve this? And we cross our fingers that you do. Sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't. What we are now thinking about is a very different approach where we bring in a tremendous amount of community involvement, where we would reach out to the commissioners, to the APC, to community leaders, to other stakeholders, to the citizenry, and invite them into the planning and design process. Never been done by us. I don't think it's ever been done by anybody. It's kind of a radical idea, but I think it's one that could really gain some traction here. Our goal would be not to give this some quaint try, oh, we're doing community involvement, look at us. It would really be meaningful. And we would commit to actually abiding by whatever the community came to. I mean, there's certain technical aspects that we have to meet, obviously, but if the community came 3 years from now and said, here's the wind project we think fits in Vermilion County. We think a wind project, if one was to happen in Vermilion County, should be about this big, should have about this many turbines, should generally be in this part of the county. Here's how we think it should benefit financially the county, and we would commit to abiding by those wishes. The other part of that is another very different idea. It would invite the county to participate financially in the project. So that might take the form of a royalty. Now, traditionally, as Megan just said, we could hire Baker Tilly. They would show you a lot of numbers about how the project is going to benefit the county from a tax basis. Usually wind projects or solar projects enter into economic development agreements with the county. Those are often limited in time and amount. What we are proposing is a royalty sharing for the life of the project. So every year there would be a payment to the county that would not be capped with tax levy caps. Our early modeling indicates this could be several $100,000s a year or more. So these are the two concepts that we'd like to start to roll out in the county. Again, we've got a long time, we've got a lot of runway here. Our goal, ideally, and it might be a little idealistic, is 5 years from now for folks to look back and say, boy, they really did it right in Vermilion. That's the way a county should develop a wind project. If we get there, great. If we don't, it's because the county would have decided that there's no wind project possible in this county. We hope we don't get there. We hope we have a lot of work to do to gain your trust, to hold a lot of public information meetings, which we've discussed, to allay concerns, to address issues, to address questions. And as COVID lifts, we will certainly start to get out in the community and do just those things. So that's all I wanted to mention. We've got a lot of work ahead of us. We've got a long time to do it. And we hope we have the support of you and the community as we get out there and try to do it.
What would you say would be an update on what you've done in the community already?
Sorry.
Will there be an update on what you've already done in the community as far as property owners already?
We are out leasing land, so we have land agents working in the community, engaging with landowners to lease the land for the wind project.
Are you familiar with House Bill 1381?
We are.
Are you supporting that House bill?
We are.
Okay.
You know what that bill means, don't you?
I know what it means.
It bypasses local control.
Can you give us a rundown on
Why?
what that means to you?
I can, and I think it's a good question. If I could stand here, Commissioner, and say, oh, no, we don't support that, that would be untrue. I mean, we understand how difficult it is to develop wind projects, solar projects, in the state of Indiana. So when that bill came along, we were very surprised. It did not come from the industry. We believe it came directly from Representative Soliday. The fact that it's gotten as far as it has also surprised us, and I think many of our colleagues in the industry. Again, it would be a lie to say that we don't support it. I don't know that we are actively out there garnering support for it, but I will say this, the plan that I outlined very briefly would not change. I'll commit to that. You know, regardless of what, and I don't think that bill, honestly, sir, gives an industry like ours some free ride or a free shot on goal. It does set some standards, but we would still have to come to you for an ordinance, for a plan, for approval, for a permit. So I think there's been some alarm at that we're just going to be able to come in and roll over, but we don't see it that way.
It's just setting.
I don't know if everybody here understands what the bill entails. You might give a snapshot of what that bill actually says. In a nutshell. I know it's a long bill.
It's a big bill.
And you, honestly, you probably know more about it than I do, but my understanding of it is that it sets guidelines, ceilings, if you will.
Things like setbacks.
The setback that came back is 1.2 times the height of the existing structure. So if it's 500 feet back, they can go approximately 700 feet from the property line to put up a structure next to your property. The House bill and I'll just touch a little bit on it right now. It's in the Senate. It hasn't passed Senate, and there's a large opposition against that bill. Mm-hmm. And you go ahead and talk on.
Ken, if I could interject, you talked about planning with the community and listening to the concerns. You support the House Bill 1381, and like Tim said, it's 1.2 times the distance. If community members do have concerns, then you can listen to them, but they're not going to matter a whole lot because House Bill 1381 already sets the standards. Would that be my understanding of that? I mean, it seems to be counterproductive to say you support that plan, but then you support the bill at the same time. Would be my understanding of that.
Yeah, Commissioner, I don't have a good answer for that, and you're right. Unless there's language put into that bill that would allow for a separate agreement between the developer and the county, which we would support, you got me there. And I wasn't trying to say, oh, we'll do this.
I know. Yeah, I'm just trying to be, a member of the community. Right. It just seems a little counterproductive if that. Yeah.
Take this so that everybody understands what the discussion, I don't think it's been explained. House Bill 1381 effectively takes solar and wind type projects and takes them out of the county hands as far as being able to the planned zoning, including setbacks and a number of other things that whatever area planning has in their purview. But what it does is that the state says that the counties can no longer regulate that end of it or pass ordinance to that effect, and effectively says the state has set standards of which the county cannot exceed those standards. Now, if the project, I guess, wanted to make things longer, wider, bigger, better, whatever, they can do that, but the minimum standards are set by the state, and the counties wouldn't have any say-so over any of that type projects, nor could we regulate where those projects would be located. So that's what that bill does. And it did pass the House, and it is sitting in front of the Senate now, and still has to go in front of the governor as well if it would pass the Senate. So the issue really isn't whether it's a wind or solar, at least as far as we're concerned at this point. It's basically taking a portion of what's used to be traditionally within the county's purview as far as land planning and zoning, and now the state has taken that and said the state's going to tell you what to do with that. So that's kind of the issue, I think, that the counties are looking at. It's not just the ones that have solar or wind capacities or capabilities, but it's the actually the entire state of Indiana has that looming on them at this point. Did I misrepresent that in any way? Or
No, sir.
is that your understanding?
If
It is more sense, yes.
you want to take any questions, you want to keep that for a private, another meeting? I mean, I don't want to put you guys totally on the spot, but if someone...
I don't think this is an appropriate place for us
That's-
to do that. Separate meeting maybe.
Yes, we're
That's what I
happy
just
to
said.
do a separate meeting.
That's what I
Okay.
said.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, from you gentlemen, of course, but we will, now that you're in Code Blue, things are opening up, we're able to have larger landowner gatherings.
Yeah.
You can look for us to come back here with some public invitations for open houses and the things we typically do.
Our
Thank
company
you.
has been under strict travel protocols. Once COVID started, we were able to travel, and then right around the time the solar ordinance was passed, we got another travel ban. So it's been a little challenging. Generally, that's what you do. You have, whether it's landowner meetings, dinners, you have it. COVID has flipped us all upside down. So this is not the traditional way you go into a community. It's not unheard of, right? You look for landowners who are supportive, who are interested in the project. That's very common, and then you work with the county. But this has been an interesting timeline, I'll say that.
How soon could you schedule something like that, an open meeting?
We'd have to check with our safety policy, but I think within certainly the next 60 days.
Well, because the county's saying 250, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have vaccines I can get?
Is it something when you guys do set these meetings, you could coordinate with the auditor and people so we can get these
Yes.
meetings out to the public
Yes,
to make sure?
absolutely.
Yeah, we typically advertise them in the paper, we send out invites, you know.
Yeah.
that-
Just the more the merrier that would know.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
do a series of them, and again, that wouldn't be the extent, based on what I was saying, that would not necessarily be the extent of our outreach. It might be the start of it,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
You do
Have you
know
been
that we
working-
don't have no zoning yet,
Your wind ordinance, yeah,
right?
Right, yes, sir.
absolutely.
Yeah, we're getting ready to approach that.
That's starting, we've heard that right through the area plan, that'll start.
And
what
that's
in
that's
spring.
something I think I talked to you previously. I said that I would appreciate you wouldn't do anything until we get that zoning done. But it's my understanding you guys are continuing with your securing leases and
That's the only thing.
Do
We
what?
we would like to put a met tower up, a wind measurement tower.
Yeah.
And again, that's just, you need a lot of years of data to do that, and that's a separate discussion.
the you guys did do a wind study already, right, with the FAA, and you got cited in for 51 towers. Is that true?
We applied as part of our diligence to see if there were any airspace concerns. We did, as in any project, very early on, we applied to the FAA with just sort of a dummy array. And that, the FAA won't review airspace issues if you don't formally apply. It's just their process, and so we traditionally we've
It's part of a safety diligence process. It's traditional, and do not put any weight into
No.
where those are. That's all I can say. You apply, that's a very common procedure. You apply, you go through FAA. But it's not, you could throw a dart and it'd probably be as accurate right now.
I know
That's just-
previously, 2 or 3 years ago, I talked to the local wind people.
Deb, we can't hear you.
Thank you for telling me. I appreciate that, I really do. A couple years ago, I talked to the local people that was in wind, and I asked them, and they said that wind energy was not coming to Vermilion County. And so therefore, I dropped that issue, and then lo and behold, here it came back up, and I think, why, standard towers are not, these are
They're bigger.
big, they're 750 feet, right? I mean, there's,
we're not doing anything that high right currently.
Do
And
what?
again, that would be up to the county to regulate the height of those towers.
yeah, but I thought you had to have the height to get them to work, the bigger.
Yeah,
You're-
we're
No, go
We're
ahead.
currently, for the latest projects we're building right now, we're using up to 680 feet.
Okay, how many megawatt are those apiece, roughly them size?
5.
5 megawatt. Okay.
Does that include the blade or just the tower itself?
The tip height, so when the blade is at 90, at 12 o'clock.
Okay.
Are we open for questions?
I know, Tim, you're getting out of. you're
I
not-
think we're going to have to have a regular meeting for this. That's what I am. What do you suggest?
It's up to you guys. It's however much time you want to spend in a meeting tonight, or if you want to have it on a different day.
I'll just say, we honestly don't have, I don't want to say we don't have answers. We have a lot of answers. I know I've been doing this a long time, but in terms of this project, I'd suggest that folks' time might be better spent waiting for us to come where they can meet us, meet the team, meet Apex. We'll have a bunch of boards up that indicate different facts and figures about wind energy. They can talk to us one-on-one.
Would you be able to leave your phone number or email for some of the citizens out here that they could reach you at?
You guys can, I have a bunch of business cards.
Okay.
You
Because
want
I'm sure maybe some of them would like that. Maybe that'd be a way for them to reach
Yeah,
out to you.
absolutely.
Sure thing.
What I also have, I wanted to give you guys this is the Baker Tilly info. Do you want me to hand this to you or mail it? What would you rather?
You can hand it.
What is?
That is all right.
Yeah.
Baker's Tilly report
Is it?
on an economic
You got
impact.
it?
Actually, no.
I guess that was going to be one of my questions. Did you work with our economic development people at all yet?
Not in terms of facts and figures, sir. No. We've met a number of people, but we've not.
Yeah, we have.
But you're not.
We've not, yeah, we met the board, when was that, in August? We met the board, just, and again, introduced ourselves, that was it, but nothing, no. In fact, this hasn't gone, if you prefer, this hasn't these analyses hasn't gone through them yet. This is
Well,
very.
the economic development did have an executive meeting with you guys, if I recall, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was
Just
on that.
informational.
But it wasn't, I mean, I didn't provide anything like from Baker Tilly, if that's what you're asking.
No, I just wondered if you've been working with them as far as economic development goes,
We
in
just-
whatever
brief
capacity.
introduction, but it was.
Just informational.
Nothing crazy, no.
So you're saying no one in economic development is working on your behalf of this now?
We have this now?
No, not that I know of, no, sir. We met just for informational purposes.
And Mr. Reagan, who was our former economic director now, is going to work for you, correct?
He is,
Yes, sir.
that's right,
Okay.
he is.
Okay.
He won't be working necessarily on this project, but he'll be working around Indiana.
We're not trying to be rude to the public. We're just trying to make it controlled where you could, and I think it'd be better to have it be fair to everyone, to have a time where they can come in and talk to you
Right.
face to face, and you ask them any question you want.
Well, and as Kent mentioned, this is a whole team. Like we have, you name it, we even have an environmental department, we have a wind resource department, we have, you name it, engineering. I think it'd be helpful for everyone because there's so many facets to the project to ask folks like construction and really get your questions. Because again, we can answer them, but I think you all, if we want to put together a big forum and maybe list all the questions that the county has, I feel like that would be a really productive first time. And then we can also bring in all the folks who that's applicable to, who can address any concerns, any questions. But you guys can have, as far as my info, I can just leave cards out there.
Not going to, yeah.
Do you think you could do something within 30 days or 45 days? I mean, is that pushing it too much to have an open meeting?
We can try to.
Yep. When is the next one of the commissioners meeting is 2 weeks, right? So maybe toward
He's
end of
talking
the.
more about an opening.
Right, but like, so I was trying to figure out what.
We have one the 16th and then the 30th.
But if we have an open meeting, we couldn't be here. I mean,
No,
there's not
we-
enough
we-
room
we
to,
rent a
well,
space.
we want everybody to come and
Yeah.
have their
So,
chance.
you know, we've told you in the past too, we're working, White Construction, we're in a team agreement with them to build the project, both projects, solar and wind. And so what we could do is maybe have it at White, if that's convenient. What do we think?
Is that big enough?
I don't know.
I don't think it's
I don't know
that
how many
big
people,
enough.
again, I'm.
Well, we can work out the details.
Oh, you know where, what about that?
The community building?
I was gonna
Yeah,
say.
right now, they're doing the vaccine there with the health department, but I have no idea what
Tim,
the timeline
you need to
is.
get control of the meeting.
But that would probably be
Okay.
So that's what we'll do. We'll expect to hear from you, and if you could give your card to everyone here that wants one.
Yeah, I'll leave
That way,
it
you got a
separate.
one-on-one. Everyone here has got a right to talk to them, and there's no one in between.
All right.
So-
Thank you all very
These are
much.
the-
Thank
those are
you.
the commissioners. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Do you?
No, I don't need one.
You don't
I
need
can
one.
take one if you want to give me one.
Sure, here.
Thank you for your patience.
I think you would email this. There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're moving right along. Dirk Davis has got a presentation. Davis and Associates, County Insurance. Getting closer.
Is it all right if I remove my mask?
Yeah, over to the podium.
As Tim said, my name is Dirk Davis. I have a company, small company, Davis and Associates. On these brochures, and I'll be brief because I know you have a large agenda today. On these the brochures that I provided, I just go through the first couple pages with you.
They need to hear you,
Oh,
sorry.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, that's much better. I just want to go through the first couple pages with you on this. Second page just shows that proud to be a third-generation employee benefit advisor. My father and my grandpa did the same thing. I'm very proud of that. On the next page, I showed some schools here that I have had, and I'm very proud I've had them for years, for a long time. So when I implement a plan, it usually stays. It stays because I've done the homework and I have the contact with some of the presidents of the company that I've known for years, and also the underwriters, where I can get straight to them and not go through middle people what are just going to say, no, this is it can't be done. So what I came here to do is just throw my hat in the ring to try and get the business back that I originally wrote. At the very end, it shows enrolled the current dental vision plan for Vermilion County employees in 2006, and that has stayed that way ever since. You still are with BSP, aren't you?
We're with Sun Life.
Sun Life?
Mm-hmm.
On
Sun Life on vision, and we have Health Options, which is now Paramount through dental.
Okay, so you're still, which is originally HRI. It's the company merged. Okay. On the division,
Mm-hmm.
What company is it?
Sun Life.
Sun Life. I'm familiar with
Sun
that.
Life Insurance.
Right. They write that one time they wrote life insurance too, correct?
I do believe so.
Just one quick question, just for curiosity, I'd like to know. At renewal time, how many years is it guaranteed, the rates at renewal time?
2 years at a time.
2 years?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've got a company that I moved North Putnam with about 6 months ago, and we got a 4-year rate guarantee and better benefits. I'm not going to mention the company. I'm not going to do the groundwork for what I've done and pass it off to someone else. And I don't know if they're doing a good job. Must be if they've had it that long. The next page right here is an article from the Clintonian. That was in regards to the city of Clinton's insurance. This was an article back in January the 6th, 2004. And it just shows how I came in and changed the major medical, vision, dental, life, and the money that I saved them. So I'm just here to say I'm still around. Thank you for your time.
You got your cards and stuff?
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
You have a book
It's on the-
that's on there.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah, it's this book right here. I also put quite a few letters of recommendations in there too.
Okay.
And I'm showing recommendations from people, businesses right here in this area. I'm not nationwide, but I am proud to have been a resident in our county for 30 years. Thank you much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is County Economic Development Council, HWC Comprehensive Plan for Vermilion County.
I didn't get a PDF of it.
There you go.
it might be one of the things that
That's all right.
Dylan might have lost in the
That's
shuffle.
all
So, sorry.
Eric, you want these? Sure.
I can just let you know when it's All right, I'm Jonathan Smith. I'm a project manager with HWC. I'll do that as long as everybody's okay with it. Yeah, I'm Jonathan Smith. I'm a project manager with HWC Engineering. We've been working the past year on a comprehensive plan for Vermilion County, and we just wanted to come here today to give you guys an update on where we're at with that project. All right, so that's fine. All right, so I kind of wanted to just give you guys kind of a brief update on where we're at on the project. Right now, we currently have a draft plan. I have a couple copies here if you guys want to circulate those too. And I don't know if you all had a chance to kind of review some of that and have seen some of the stuff that we've been working on. But we kind of started around March of last year, and because of COVID, the project's kind of lagged into this part of this year. Originally, we were hoping to get the plan to a place where we could get it adopted by the end of last year. But as we all know, things have changed, and public participation and those type of things have kind of caused us to go further into the project than what we were originally imagining. So that's kind of an overall synopsis of the background on where we're at right now. So I kind of want to just go over a few different items. So the purpose and scope of the plan, the process that we went through to get to where we're at today, and then just overarching priority goals for the individual chapters that the OCRA plan requires. By OCRA, it's the Office of Cultural and Rural Affairs. They were who is administering the grant for this. So that's where that came from. Any questions so far? Good? Okay. So just briefly, we have the purpose and scope of the plan. I'm not going to get into this real deep, but the purpose of this plan is to be kind of a kit of parts, if you will, for the community at large, the county, to utilize for future endeavors and improvements of the community. So that's kind of the overall scope of it. Just to identify a couple key ones. The plan itself is meant to establish land use opportunity areas to inform future zoning ordinance updates. I know that was a point that was discussed previously about the zoning ordinance in the past comprehensive plan being kind of combined prior, but I think you guys actually have them separated. So I just wanted to reiterate that this is not a zoning plan. It's a comprehensive plan, so it doesn't get into the zoning part of that. So I just want to clarify that as we go into this. Do you have a question? No? Okay.
I do, but not yet.
I know that's actually one of the things that's always kind of confusing with these, is that a lot of people think that the comprehensive plan actually dictates all of the zoning in it, but it actually is to help you facilitate any future zoning issues that you have, so you can actually adopt different zoning ordinances into the future. Okay. So what this plan will have is an appendix. So the appendix will have the existing zoning in it, as well as all survey information that we've got to date, and all public feedback and all that will all be available as part of that. And then one of the chapters that I'm not going to talk about today is an action item plan. So that's going to have a prioritized list of action items for you guys, so you can have that kind of follow through for the next 5 years, next 10 years, those type of things. Okay. All right, moving forward. So I kind of went over a little bit of this, but The plan itself was kind of steered with the steering committee. We had upwards of 20 residents, but like I said, with COVID, it kind of whittled its way down to about 10 people. So that was kind of the steering committee that kind of steered the process itself. We had about 5 stakeholder groups, and those were kind of identified in different sectors, so like health, schools, different things like utilities, those type of things were all kind of I've identified as stakeholder groups. We held a public event in October of last year. I don't know if anybody here went to that, but we actually had a pretty decent turnout, and we got some good feedback. But since it was digital, there was a little bit of a barrier to get a lot of really good information. But I think we got enough to kind of build our case for the comprehensive plan. We did have a public survey that was out. That survey itself solicited 237 responses, which I think is pretty good, given COVID and communication issues that we could have had and done better. But I think in a given normal year, you can probably see about double on that. 237 is pretty good. The responses weren't really missing anything as far as their responses go, so I think that was a good thing. So that on the right side of the screen up there is kind of like the timeline. So it kind of started right after COVID hit and kind of hit the ground running. We did public engagement toward the end of last year, and then did the final analysis and prepared the draft for Okra, reviewed it, and they provide their comments. The area plan committees also reviewed and provided some comments, and today we're asking you guys to do the same. You don't necessarily have to provide comments today, but I'm just giving the opportunity so you can hear from us where we're at on the project. So with the Okra grant comes a list of things that you have to kind of meet and qualify. That way, when they review the draft, they can approve it or give you suggestions on how you can improve it. So some of the chapters that they're required to do are the ones listed here. I'm kind of just going to peruse through these as we go through it, just to give you an idea of what we're talking about. So I think overarching, if you want to go to the next slide here. So overarching, we have these land use goals that we think are really important. They kind of tell the whole story as you go through the plan itself. So one of the things that we've identified are these growth opportunity areas on here. One being I-74, second one being near 63 in Cayuga, and then the Vermilion Rise and surrounding areas there, and then the rail spur in Clinton, this being the fourth one. So those are kind of the ones that we've kind of identified, and those are kind of like what the framework is for the whole project itself. Okay. So what we have is basically, I guess I'm going to take one step back. So what we have here is basically goals for each of these chapters, and then within the actual document itself, it has ways that we're implementing that. So kind of just going through it. So for government and fiscal capacity, just increased community participation that we saw. That was a lot of feedback that we got. Just kind of getting the community to come together. Since it's such a long county, it's really difficult to do a county plan because people are like, I don't want to go this way and I don't want to go this way, and you have to have multiple meetings at different times. So you would think COVID would have helped with that, but it also still had its issues. So like public facilities and services, I think we all can agree that expanding broadband services is a good thing. So kind of moving on, we developed several placemaking strategies. So kind of like something to unify the community itself.
Next slide.
Sorry. You're doing so good. So for placemaking, we just wanted to kind of identify different strategies as well as like different things that you could do to kind of implement additional placemaking things. I know you guys have that giraffe art program that's throughout the county. We thought that was pretty cool, and you could kind of build upon that. And then if you want to move on to the next one. So economic development, that one kind of, it builds upon what we talked about in the land use. So those 4 key areas and kind of focusing those as part of your economic development focus. So those would be like the key places to kind of start. Not saying those are the only places, but those are kind of the places that we thought were based off of feedback and all the different things that we've talked about and seen within the community, are that those are like the best places to start with. So you got the I-74, Duke Energy, Vermilion Rise, and the rail spur at Clinton. I will point out that the Clinton rail spur was up for debate in the last meeting that we had, so I would like to hear you guys' side of that as well, because it's technically incorporated part of a community, and it's not in the county as a whole, unincorporated. So just wanted to point that out. Housing, so it's all about strategy and kind of finding those areas throughout the county on where you want to grow and how you want to grow. So potentially a housing study of some sort, or some sort of blight removal program, which I think you guys already do, but kind of expand upon that, because I know there was some concerns about houses that have been abandoned and those type of things. And then transportation. Basically just develop a prioritized plan, kind of work with the county as well as NDOT to prioritize the different projects, as well as expand upon the trails, if you will. So those are kind of identified in that as well. Agriculture, I know this map, you're going to see it, and it says prime farmland. I'm preempting some conversations because I know what I've received up to this date, and I know that prime farmland is kind of up for debate, and the fact that this is historically the prime farmland. However, it's kind of evolved over time, so what's actually there in real life is not that. So I think what this map will end up being is prime farmland plus where existing farms are. So it won't be as confusing when you see it the next time. Okay. So basically it's just preparing and supporting future farmers for the community. So natural resources. So we really want to just like strengthen and utilize the river as being a major benefit for different things like recreation, different types of uses, and just making sure everybody knows that the river's there. It's kind of a unifying element. I'm keep reiterating that. So, and I know there was some preservation efforts that we wanted to support with the woodlands and natural areas, and I think that kind of goes in junction with some of what the Trails Alliance is doing as well. So, Parks and Recreation. So basically, we're kind of seeing that we wanted to expand the countywide park system to make recreation access more available, and it looks like you guys are kind of moving toward that and providing parks in places where you don't have them. So kind of just expanding that effort, and we've kind of identified some of the parks that are current as well as some that are in planning, and then the overarching kind of fill in the blank locations as well. So then historic and archaeological resources. So what's really cool is the heritage in this county. So we got to experience a lot of it whenever we did a bunch of tours, and we thought just kind of expanding upon a lot of the traditions. So you have the Italian festival, those type of things. So you can kind of potentially expand those to like year-long events, have different events throughout the year. I know that there's a couple, but I think if you expanded those and kind of build upon some of those different things, I think that'd be great. Hazard mitigation. This is a chapter that a lot of times we omit, but since we're in the days of COVID, we see that this one's important, and we realize that you guys already have a lot of great things in place, so we're kind of just building upon that. So that's kind of the overarching goal for that. And then, so where are we today? So we're here giving you an update Where we've been, Okra has reviewed a draft, the area plan has as well. You guys have your draft in hand. I think you received it at the same time, but because of planning, our dates then obviously are in sequence. So after today, we'll do some plan revisions. Those plan revisions will be taken back to Okra as well as the community at large, and we'll have an open house so the community can weigh in on what they see. So then we'll take it from there, and then Okra will give their blessing, and then we'll do final adoption. So from what I understand, you guys will be the final adopting committee that will be adopting it with the area plans, like, blessing, so to speak. Since it was a, not to make it more confusing, but the original comprehensive plan, correct me if I'm wrong, was adopted by the area plan committee
And the commissioners.
and the commissioners. Okay, so then both of you will be adopting this.
So my question is, I know you had mentioned that this is different than a comprehensive plan for the county, but should it be named something else? Then, I mean.
So, all right, so it's a little confusing. So a lot of times when you see a comprehensive plan, a lot of times they have zoning in it as well. Mm-hmm. But because of the way the Okra funding is written and those type of things, you use it as leverage to develop a unified development, zoning ordinance. Does that make sense? So then you separate those two items, and it basically links them together, which I think you guys have it technically separated, right?
It's supposed to be. It's in the 500 series, because zoning isn't broken down like the other parts. It's like 1,600 sections long, and it's in the 500s.
Yeah, and I think that might have been the confusion before, so I might have made it even worse by saying that at the beginning, but I wanted to at least say it so you knew that that was a discussion point that we've had. And hopefully we can figure out what best language and how we want to put it in the appendix and those type of things.
So is this document already been revisions by area plan? Have they given you revisions?
They've given us some comments, but we can consolidate all comments and circulate them if that's helpful.
I was just wondering with some of the mistakes I briefly seen, if they'd already caught them, that way I don't have to send them.
Yeah.
I don't want to send them again.
I'm Penny Carpenter from Area Plan. I'm the executive director. According to Indiana Code 3674-105, the comprehensive plan requirement, approval, and purpose, the comprehensive plan shall be approved by resolution in accordance with the 500 series, as Mr. Spur was stating, for the promotion of public health, safety, morals, convenience, order, and general welfare for the sake and efficiency of economy and the process of development. The Plan Commission shall prepare the comprehensive plan. Vermillion County Area Plan did not prepare this plan being presented. Mallory Thatch and Jonathan, both from HWC, each did a presentation, one during the November meeting and one during the February meeting. That's been the extent of Area Plan's involvement. We did make one email to them with some corrections. However, the other members that had concerns and corrections have chosen not to send them on. And the errors that we're talking about are in the document dated 1/5/2021. Area Plan members have been concerned regarding this plan, and I will have the official Area Plan Commission's official thoughts following the March 11th meeting. We don't have a problem with it. They want to call it Economic Development Comprehensive Plan, because they do have their own plan. Economic Development currently has one that is outdated, as is ours. But as far as it being the Vermillion County Comprehensive Plan, according to Indiana Code 3674-105, is to come from Area Plan.
Okay.
I asked her, is Ron still here, Mac?
Ron's outside. Joe Ellis, he's one of our members, he's here.
I was going to ask Ron to come. I asked him to prepare comments, but we'll see if he comes in. In the meantime, I noticed on here, and the reason why I asked earlier, that solar and wind apparently had been working a little bit with economic development. I noticed that there was nothing that ever was approached with any of that part of the alternative energies inside the utilities or anything to that effect. Is there a reason why that was omitted or why it wasn't addressed?
I think it was one of those items that you didn't want to show, I guess, at the time, but I think it's come up a couple times since. So I think now's the time to talk about it, for sure.
Okay, why would you not want to talk about it before now?
Was that something from the steering committee, or is it something from
Yeah,
HWC?
came from the steering committee. I think it was just because it was such a hot topic, they didn't want to steer this into like a long thing just about that, if that makes sense.
So does the steering committee meet often, or did they meet often on this plan?
It was probably about 3 times.
I noticed on part of this, a lot of good ideas. I agree. This is a type of plan I'm used to seeing for an area plan. One thing it didn't continue on with was how any of these would be financed or how they would be developed. At what point will you be presenting any of that of how the county would actually come about implementing any of these recommendations or ideas that have been presented here?
So the next meeting we'll go over the action items, and those will be defined further, which we can share those prior. So those action items will actually define like funding sources and who would be involved with the implementation part, and how we see that working together. So this is you guys' plan, so I think that it would be good to have the opportunity to kind of chime in on those type of things. So.
So on the survey responses, you said you had 230, is that right? So on those, I know you said due to COVID that was a little bit less. On a normal year, you might have double that. So due to COVID, how did that affect that? Was these responses in person? Were these online surveys?
They were online, and I honestly, I think it's just a matter of just not being around people and discussing about it, because a lot of times people find out just by pure like face-to-face conversation.
Yeah.
We found a lot of times that's just how it goes.
So what was the cost to do that survey for?
It was just a simple like online survey that was distributed through.
Well, the reason I asked, because I know the steering committee, I wasn't a part of it, but I mean, being in county government last year, I didn't even know about the survey. So I question how many people out in the public knew about it if county leadership didn't even know about it. So I think that might be, because I've been told that's, was that less than 2% of the whole population?
Yep.
So I don't think that's a very good representation. I mean, maybe that's average, but.
Well, I would just want to add there that those would be probably households and not particular people. You know what I mean? So 237 households versus people is totally different numbers.
Okay, we're still looking at a pretty low percentage.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, that's, I mean, but I'm still getting at there's probably a lot of people that didn't know about it. I mean, that's what.
With that said, should we have delayed this process until we got to a point that we could have better participation or town hall type meetings, or was it, I guess it was decided that wasn't the case, or what was the driving force for?
The driving force is the grant, to be honest, and you can't really ask for an extension until you like get a draft. So you had to get to a draft to do that. So we had to do that in order to actually ask for the extension. So now we're at a place where we've asked for an extension. So if you think there's an opportunity to do some additional outreach, I think now's the time.
Okay. I personally think it'd be imperative to expand on that with the community.
Okay.
Do you think you could send a survey out on like the Vermillion County current residents? Is Facebook page, is that okay to do it?
Yeah, it was on one Facebook page, but I couldn't tell you which one. I've seen it a couple times on Facebook pages, but
I'd like to see our website actually used for that instead.
County website?
Yeah, the county website.
That's fine.
Well, I think you said in the plan, better coordinating. I think that was some of the response. So I think this is part of that better coordination to make sure everyone understands.
I do have a number of comments. I'll just forward those to you.
That's fine.
From the PDFs. One thing that did catch me by surprise a little bit was on the agricultural. your map actually just depicts all the prime farm ground in Vermilion County.
Say it again.
By your map on agricultural actually depicts the prime farm ground by USDA standards in the county. That's all we have in the county is what
That's
you
what I was
depict on
saying.
here?
That's what I was saying a minute ago. Whenever I was talking about the map itself, we're going to update that and expand upon it because it's literally like historically what's the prime farmland. However, what's actually been used as farmland is totally different.
Well, I understand. I'm back to the definition of prime farm ground, though, and that's all we have in the county as far as prime farm ground is what shows.
Yeah, based
currently
off
on
of
this.
their definition, yes.
Yeah,
Correct.
okay.
And this is GIS data that's brought down from your site. And
I was just
pulled into
surprised.
it. Yeah, no, it's fine.
If we find errors in this, then we just
Please.
we get hold of on the errors.
I've actually been in contact with Britton, so if you want to send it to him and he can facilitate it to me, that's fine. Or if you guys have a certain way you need to do that, that's also fine. But I can leave my card, or I can I'll get it right now.
Anything else, Tim?
No subject.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. I apologize that we weren't able to get together before now, but I knew because of the turnover in the commissioners, I think this is probably the most appropriate time, to be honest.
It does seem appropriate. I would like to see us have a special meeting just to cover this topic only, though,
Okay.
as opposed a commissioners meeting dedicated just to
Yep.
this.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, that'd be good.
appreciate
Okay.
it.
How would we go about that, figuring out when that would be?
We'll set a time.
Okay.
We'll get together and set a time for
Okay.
that, and then we'll advertise or post it accordingly.
Okay.
We'll get with you on it.
Okay. All right, awesome, thank you.
Thank you. Next is the Vermilion County Cybersecurity Assessment Proposal. I think we'll put that off to next meeting. That'll be okay, unless
You
guys
want to
are-
postpone, Brendan, you want to
Sorry?
postpone this till next meeting, the proposal?
I don't have to.
I don't
I'm
have
in
a
agreement.
problem doing it now.
If you guys feel good about it, it's up to you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's something we need. I
Because
think-
you guys, you had more dealings with it than I
Yeah.
did, so I'm just, what you guys let me know.
Yeah, I think it's something we need.
Okay.
The sooner the better.
Want to go ahead and introduce it?
You want to, or?
Go ahead.
So, IntelliLeap, we'd asked them to look over, I don't want to say our security. So there's a proposal from IntelliLeap to perform a cybersecurity assessment on the information technology systems for Vermilion County. This assessment will follow the NIST cybersecurity framework and give the stakeholders a clear understanding of the county's cybersecurity strengths and weaknesses. I won't read it all. I'll say some of the deliverables: a report on the county's cybersecurity infrastructure, strengths and weaknesses, recommendations that are suitable for government policy and manuals, and recommendations to mitigate cybersecurity risk. And the price or the assessment for that would be $5,000 for the county.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
So with that, I'll make a motion to approve this proposal for $5,000 with IntelliLeap to perform a cybersecurity assessment for Vermilion County.
We were able to spend a little time with IntelliLeap and ask them a number of questions concerning our system and some of the pitfalls that we may have here, and some things that we've noticed just off the cuff of walking around the different offices, the different departments. It's a little bit complicated in that we have departments that are also remote to the courthouse as well, plus access to the system from personal computers and also public access. It was kind of alarming, some of the things that we've noticed, just not being necessarily not being professionals in this area, but it is alarming as to what our systems had the potential of being corrupted, if you will. And that initiated this discussion with IntelliLeap, and I think that this will give us an opportunity to actually test our systems and have the recommendations where maybe we won't be using our insurances for ransom and other issues that are that maybe are plaguing our system. It also gets back to using our computers and our systems only for government work as well, and making sure that the integrity of those systems are maintained. So that's some of the background of why we're looking at this program and why we're going to recommend it for adoption, or actually for a contract.
So we got a motion to...
I'll make a motion that we engage IntelliLeap into the contract. I believe it's a $5,000 contract for the stated purposes on the Vermilion County Cyber Security Assessment Proposal.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Discussion? Any more discussion?
Go ahead.
I already stated my discussion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed, nays, none. Okay, we're going to move right along, try to get you out of here as soon as we can. A resolution expressing support for local control of land use decisions. We've mentioned earlier, the state is currently trying to pass a resolution that will limit our control locally over wind and solar projects in the zoning, which is a total violation. And I could speak for the Indiana Association of Counties, which we are members of, that they're even going out after. I talked to Senator Phil Booth today, and they're trying to take it out so it won't even show up and come out of committee. So possibility it might happen. If it doesn't happen and this bill is passed, then the state will predict the zoning over your local people, and it's overreach by the state. I don't know anybody around here that agrees with that. Very few people I've talked to even want to agree with something like that, because local government knows what needs to be done. We don't need the state to tell us what to do. And so I'm going to read this, we're going to, a resolution that we're going to adopt tonight and send it on. Resolution of the Board of Commissioners of Vermilion County, Indiana, expressing support for local control of land use decisions. Whereas the state of Indiana consists of diverse communities, each with its own needs and opportunities, and whereas across the state of Indiana, counties have created and implemented plans for development that provide the type of new investment and additional employment that is desired by citizens of the county, and in many instances the desired development has included wind or solar projects, and whereas the Board of Commissioners believes that the decisions regarding wind and solar development are best made by citizens living in the community rather than by wind and solar industry or state officials who live outside the community. Whereas House Bill 1381 is currently pending in the Indiana General Assembly, and if enacted, such legislation would disenfranchise the citizens of the ability to determine the conditions under which wind energy and solar energy projects would be allowed in their county. Whereas under House Bill 1381, communities would be compelled to allow wind and solar projects under conditions dictated by others living outside the community. And whereas the Board of Commissioners desires to express its opposition to House Bill 1381 and express its support for the rights of individuals and families living in a community to direct their own future through land use decisions. Now therefore it be resolved by the Board of Commissioners of Vermilion County, Indiana, that the Board expresses opposition to House Bill 1381 and any other legislation that disenfranchises local citizens of the right to make local planning decisions and direct the future of their own communities. Does it sound, is there anyone here in favor of this bill?
There's one.
No, I mean, as a community, you know what this is saying, right? It's saying.
Other than just that, shouldn't we be getting a hold of Phil Boots at this point? Everybody letting them know from Vermilion.
Phil Boots is in your corner, call him.
That's one thing, but when, and I don't disagree with it, I think you should send it. But I think everybody in Vermilion County that's for or against it needs to start contacting our reps. And if you don't pay attention to some of these bills coming through, you're going to be wondering in a year what the hell happened.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, there's some in there that'll freak you out.
When you do stuff like this, what's next? Really. I mean, this is our county, this is our community, and we know what's best decisions, not them. So this is going to be sent on up the ladder. So we're going to have a discussion on this, or real quick, we need to move on.
Phil Boots' email.
Yeah, I talked to him.
I know, but for us, I know how to find it, but the public
They wanna find it.
needs to
Yeah.
know Phil Booth's email address.
Yeah, I can give you his email, and he's very, I mean, I talked to someone here in the back, and he was out fishing, he called him up, he said, I can't believe the senator called me, but he's a good man, he's willing to listen to you, and he is definitely on board with this as far as, against this.
As far as our representatives go, Phil Morrison. Alan Morrison was the one who passed this out of the Energy Committee there on the House, for the representatives in the House. And he's a strong proponent of taking House Bill 1381. And anyway, he voted for it out of that and voted it through the House as well. So you might want to keep that in mind when you have a talk with Mr. Phil, or Mr. Allen. Don't know why I want to call him Phil. But anyway, take that note, and then also the governor, even if the Senate does pass it, the governor still has to sign it, so might let all of our legislatures know. This is an area of control, that whether you like wind or you like solar, it's not really that issue at this point. It's an issue of them.
Go ahead, sorry.
This is an issue of them taking a specific part of our county planning and taking control of that. So it's, again, whether you like solar, you like wind, or you don't, doesn't really matter. This is more of a local control issue.
Didn't Farm Bureau come out against it? Did you hear that?
You know, Farm Bureau's not in favor of it.
Tim, you have somebody in the back wants to.
Go ahead.
My name is Steve Everly, and several of you know me here. My purpose tonight was to come and meet you, Commissioner, and wish you well. I'm director of a statewide group called Hoosiers for Renewables, and I totally agree with your statement. It's not about wind and solar. Some of the circumstances, and I followed this, by the way, I was county commissioner for 3 terms in Warren County, 30 years, 35 years in total. Started as a township person during the poor relief, and also how to take care of the fire department. What has led up to this, at least in my feeble opinion, is that yes, there's been much discussion about the wind and solar, which became attached to the local control, and I fully believe local control is vital. I testified for 1381 in its original form, and my testimony, and it's on the record, my testimony mirrored exactly what happened tonight with this development company, which is, let's all talk this out, let's discover what's going on. And so I understand that the local control is vital, and I agree. I surely hope that there's language changes going to happen in that, if it even goes forward at all. Because local is king and queen. But also from the state perspective, clean water is controlled by the state. Electricity rates in many cases, other than RFC, are controlled by the state. So there are things out there. But the last thing I will say is, and I've worked with the comprehensive plan structures as well, and what I really wish could happen at the county level, what I wished for when I was commissioner, that I could put together and hire someone that would tell me, here's what's going to happen to my county in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, if I get this. Here's what's going to happen to me in 10, 20, 30 years if I don't get that. And I've worked with the RISE, I've worked with the Garmon folks on their spec building. I pushed leads down to your county that were not appropriate for Warren County. And yet it's so very difficult to get that really perfect prize that you want. So as we discuss all of the wants and the not wants, please take a little time to at least try to contemplate all of what happens in 10, 20, 30 years to our schools, our fire safety, our way of life, if this does happen, and what if it doesn't? And so that's why I encourage you all, and I appreciate it. I think it's great to have a meeting with the developer folks on an item such as this, because they have presented you with information from a very reputable firm that can tell you what you can have. But obviously then this becomes your decision as to whether you want that kind of stuff or you're going to wait to see what else will happen. And in many cases, broadband is advancing. Over in one of the counties that we work with, Randolph County is pushing up $5-6 million worth of a broadband tower structure over there right now, and it's funded by the renewables opportunity. I don't know, personally, I don't really know why utilities are moving the way they are, but we do know that the cost of renewables is now approaching on par with coal and some of the other things. I don't know why they're not saying, let's just build brand new plants and take advantage of what's in our ground. I can't answer that. But I know that we believe, in my organization, we believe in a diversity of power mixes, and we appreciate the opportunity to tell people about that.
Thank you.
I apologize for going way over.
Everybody has, so.
Tim and I actually served Washington D.C. together a number of years.
White House.
The two smallest counties for sure in the state of Indiana that went up there with the big boys.
Yeah.
And we represented ourselves well, in my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Next thing is joint application work performance.
Pass the resolution. Tim, we gotta pass the resolution.
Somebody's keeping me around. I'm trying to get this
Just
done.
move on, eh?
What's the resolution number? What would that be?
2021-06.
2021 what?
06.
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution number 2021-06.
As written.
As written.
I'll second that motion. I have no more discussions. Decisions.
Out of decisions. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Passed resolution. Okay. I can move on. Joint, I think that's an issue that it's in my district, so I'll had to deal with that. It's about road.
Joint?
Yeah.
That's Cayuga.
That's my district.
It is?
Part of it's outside of
I
Cayuga.
thought it was in yours.
South of 234 is District 2. You know,
Can't
say it makes a whole
That's
lot of
something I can
sense,
deal
but
with privately.
And they already sent in the $20 for the permit.
Tell them they gotta change the date on it. They got their last year's date on it.
I do have a question. Is there anybody from Joint here? Is there any coordinate, well, my question is nobody's gonna answer it, but,
They might.
well, they might
I
get
will.
surprised. Is there any coordination on this broadband and communication network that's being developed throughout the county? It just seems like it's individual companies are deciding where they're gonna go, and it's just happening. Is there any type of coordination saying that we want it to go a certain direction, or how is this being developed in the county? Does anybody have an idea?
Maybe you better call.
I was hoping to discuss it. Of course.
We've had numerous meetings with...
Please stand up, yeah.
I'm no expert, but we've had numerous meetings with joint representatives about possibly the project underwriting broadband, direct wire broadband around Dana. My understanding is that they are simply looking for, it's a business case. How many subscribers can they justify the capital expense to put that in at that spot? And for instance, around Dana, apparently that doesn't quite exist just yet. So I think it's really company by company based on what their business, what their marketing indicates in the long-term subscription rates.
I know I've seen some of this being in grants from the state and possibly federal grants being pushed for these, but it just seems like we should have some type of organization here of how broadband and communications, and whether it's broadband or cellular or whatever it might be, we just have no coordination in the county. We have no idea who's going to receive it, who's not going to receive it, kind of at the mercy of, I don't know, I guess the individual companies, I guess, at this point. So anyway, where I'm going with this, I'm wanting something to happen. I'm not sure what it is yet, but I'm hoping to be able to move toward that
I can contact
organization.
them and ask them to come in. We can contact them and ask them to come to the next meeting.
But it's not just them. It's AT&T, it's New Wave, it's Verizon, all these companies that are communication type companies. Somehow or another, we need to try to get some type of coordination here, of, at least so we can understand what's happening, whether we can influence that in any way. I'd like to be able to to try to do that anyway, to expand it. Our farmers, everybody here it's amazing what we can do with these cellular networks, with broadband. There's some other technologies out there that I'm hoping to hear back on from Microsoft. But we're getting way behind with our high schools, especially now with this COVID thing, and them trying to get information out to students, the students trying to get information in, learning process, our farmers. There's things that can happen with our agricultural production, with the actually even inside grains, deciding whether you have enough water, too much sun, too much pesticides, herbicides, whatever the case may be. But and the drone technology, but we're not able to implement this or take it into account because we just don't have the network here to be able to distribute it out throughout the county anyway. We're having enough problems just inside our major city, Clinton, our largest center here, and you still can't get a decent cell phone coverage there. And that's one of our best places, probably. And there may be some others that are good, but you have to kind of dance around. And in the courthouse, we can't get.
Terrible.
Yes. And we've continued to have problems with our phone systems and things with AT&T and whatever. So anyway, look forward to something happening here on the front. I'm not exactly sure where it's going to go. Maybe some of our industrial partners, commercial partners will be able to step in and help with some of this stuff as well as the time goes by.
Okay, we're going to move on.
If you want, there's a gentleman that has a question, or you can move on.
Just a quick comment as a landowner. We currently have 3 fiber optic lines that come along our property line on the county highway, and the 4th one is almost there. The conduit's in the ground. All these are private, to my knowledge. They will not allow anyone to hook up to them, although I did see that one of them is a joint line, and there is one house that did get hooked up. I don't know how they got it done. It did happen. So it is, as a landowner, it's bothersome to us that we don't have access to that, or when we asked, that we were not granted any access to, even when they're coming right by our property.
We could have them in for public comment next time, put them on the agenda and ask them to come in, and people could ask them questions.
Well, that's where we're headed. We're heading there. I'm just getting.
Would it just be?
That was a statement, but it's anyway.
That we need to do?
I would like to see them all, not just Joink. I mean, whoever's putting the fiber optic in.
A lot of this is being done with public monies. I know Joink has received grants on this to hook up so many people. How they decide that and who's going to get it, I'm sure it's a commercial venture or commercial reasoning behind it. I just want to see how we might be able to expand on that.
We're going to move on to the ordinance, 2A ordinance. The 2A ordinance tonight is not going to be adopted. Well, I'm going to read one. There's going to be several different ones. I think you got like 5 or 6 of them, different.
It's several. I've tried to get all the ones I could find online, and then the ones that weren't online, I've had my staff call in the individual counties and ask them to send us copies, and then we're forwarding them on, so you guys will have as many examples as you want to
Tim,
look at.
if I can interject, I know it's listed as an ordinance, but I believe the one that John and us and even Mike had agreed on was a proclamation. Was that right?
Yes.
I think.
After we hung them.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, I don't blame the office for putting that on there. I'm just, for the public's knowledge, I think they thought it might have been an ordinance, and unfortunately, that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah. So what I'm suggesting, I'll read one of the ordinance, one of the proclamations that are available. Like I said, I don't plan on adopting any, and I don't think we're going to have some public meetings to let people be involved in this process, and then we'll go from there. But I just want to read one, and like I said, we're not going to adopt this tonight, but it's just to let you know what they're about. And it says, County Commission's Proclamation, Second Amendment Sanctuary Proclamation of Vermilion County, Indiana. A proclamation to protect the constitutional rights of the citizens of Vermilion County. Whereas the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution states a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, and the right of people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whereas Article 1, Section 32 of the Constitution of the State of Indiana states that the people shall have the right to bear arms for the defense of themselves and the state. Whereas each county commissioner at Vermilion County has sworn his oath of office that includes the solemn phrase, promise, to support the Constitution of the state this state and the United States as required by Article 15, Section 4 of the Constitution of the State of Indiana. Whereas the Sheriff of Vermilion County has sworn an oath of office that includes a solemn promise to support the Constitution of the state and the United States as required by Article 15, Section 4 of the Constitution of the State of Indiana. Whereas the Supreme Court of the United States has unequivocally that all those that have framed written constitutions contemplate them as forming the paramount law of the nation, and consequently the theory that every government must be that an act of the legislature repugnant to the Constitution is void. And it's a Mayberry versus Madison, 5 U.S. 137, 177, 1803. Whereas while the constitutions of the United States and the state of Indiana frame a system of government wherewith the judicial branch is the arbiter of of any law, the county commissioners of Vermilion County and the sheriff of Vermilion County hereby declare the commitment of the constitutional rights of the citizens of Vermilion County, including the right to bear arms, as guaranteed against infringement by the U.S. and Indiana constitutions. Whereas, because this proclamation does not seek to regulate firearms, ammunition, or firearms accessories in any way, and in fact simply recognize that any regulation that is repugnant to the Constitution is void, and this proclamation is entirely consistent with Indiana Code 35-47-11-1-1, and it is hereby proclaimed that the County Commissioners of Vermilion County and the Sheriff of Indiana as follows. Just about done. Vermilion County shall be a county in which the constitutional rights of all citizens, including the right to keep and bear arms, are deeply honored and protected against infringement. The County Commissioners and Sheriff of Vermilion County hereby join the citizens of Vermilion County in opposition to any law or regulation that is repugnant or infringes upon the rights of the citizens as guaranteed in the Constitution of the United States, the State of Indiana, including the right to bear arms. That although the courts have jurisdiction over to resolve the constitutionality of the law of regulation, the County Commissioners and the Sheriff of Vermilion County proclaim their intent to withhold any expenditure or use of any county resource to enforce any law or regulation based upon good faith, belief in such law or regulations unconstitutional. And the Second Amendment, the United States Constitution, Article 1, Section 32, and of the Indiana Constitution, that the County Commissioners and the Sheriff of Vermilion County hereby renew their solemn vows to support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the State of Indiana, including the right to keep and bear arms as guaranteed therein. Be there proclaimed, the Board of Commissioners of Vermilion County, be it appropriate, the executive body do by hereby make this proclamation act thereof this second day of. That's just a read of one.
Can you repeat that?
There's several different ones out there, and we're going to have some open meetings with people, and you're welcome to comment, and eventually we'll have something that will be presented, and we'll be working on that. So that's where we're at on that.
Can you have somebody in the...
Hi, my name is Nancy Wilson. I'd like to know if you're going to have these meetings, will they be posted somewhere where...
What's that?
Will these meetings...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, they'll be posted.
We would like to start using the county website more, and that's where we're going to, facilitate a lot of the meetings, the calendar on there. And I'm sure Tim will share it on Facebook, and I'm sure we'll make sure it's open, that way everyone knows about it.
And if you want to get a hold of me later, I'll even give you a link to my stuff. So
is this considered the first reading then?
it's not really it's just an open meeting of discussion that we're going to start looking at a copy that we want to
So
adopt.
next month you're not going to pass this until we have the
No.
more local
Yeah.
meetings
Everybody.
and...
In fact, what I'd like for it to do, I'd like everybody to have a right to sign it in the county if they want to. It's all about community involvement, and I want to get all that. If people want to be involved, be involved.
Well, I'll be looking forward to meeting with you then. Thank you.
Thank you. Where are we at? Ordinance to open the courthouse. You want to read that?
You want me to read?
I'm going to try to read it.
I can read it. Do we have an ordinance number for it?
2021-2.
2021-2. County ordinance number 2021-2, opening the courthouse ordinance for Vermilion County, Indiana. An ordinance lifting the restrictions closing the courthouse to the public. Whereas the Board of Commissioners of Vermilion County have previously restricted public access to the Vermilion County Courthouse for the safety of the public and and slow the spread of COVID-19 virus, it has now been determined that it is the best interest of the citizens of Vermilion County that those restrictions come to an end. Now be ordained and enacted by the Vermilion County Commissioners that Section 1 of the COVID restrictions imposed on the courthouse by Ordinance 2020-5 and other ordinances are lifted, and those ordinances are no longer in effect from this day forward except as follows. The west door shall remain the public access to the building, with the other doors remaining locked and accessible only to employees who have a key. Anyone entering the courthouse is to have their temperature checked, and visibly ill or feverish persons may be turned away, and masks shall be worn in all common areas. Section 2, should any section, paragraph, sentence, clause, or phrase of this ordinance be declared unconstitutional or invalid for any reason by any court of competent jurisdictions, such provisions shall be deemed severable, and the remaining portions of this ordinance shall remain in full force and effect. Section 3, all ordinances or parts of ordinances or resolutions that are inconsistent with the provisions of this ordinance are replaced to the extent of such inconsistency. Adopted and passed by the Vermilion County Commissioners on this day if we choose to do that.
Anybody have any questions about that?
And Mike, this was a recommendation from the security meeting?
Safety committee.
Safety committee, yeah. Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve County Ordinance number 2021-2 as stated.
I will second that motion.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone against? Nope. Ordinance passed. Getting close. COVID time off for county employees. Do you want to talk about that, or you want to just open conversation about this, or what do you want to do?
We can have an open conversation. The references, there's a couple different ones that have come to me, and I do believe we need something in place just to make sure that if employees are feeling sick, that they don't feel like they're going to use all of their time. So I do believe, Tim, that you suggested that we do it on a one-on-one basis and not just offer the full 80 hours, but on a one-on-one basis. So if you are sick, then you submit a form with documentation from your provider stating that you have been tested positive, whatever, or have to be quarantined, and then we can get approval from HR, commissioners, whoever needs to approve it, to give them the appropriate hours, but still only have a total of 80 hours because we don't want to leave it open for several months.
And I think there's several cases within the county now that people burned a lot of sick time, comp time, and I even had, I know one instance someone asked me, well, I'll just go back to work. They don't want to burn their time. So I think it's imperative that we get that 80 hours and have the things in line to make sure it's not abused, but I don't think anybody's going to abuse a COVID. I think if they've got COVID, no one's going to abuse that.
Exactly.
But it is going to require something from a doctor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or in
Yes.
some case, we have rapid testing at the jail for inmates. Somebody else has to witness that, not just you doing a test on yourself. I mean, so there has to be checks and balances.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think if anyone has incurred that earlier in the year, that they need to be reimbursed, if they've had to take time off for that.
I agree. Yeah, we would
Just
give
one
them
way
their
to be
sick
fair.
time back
Yeah.
and then use the COVID sick time. Totally agree.
I just think that more documentation, and my personal thing is case by case and go that route, but, everybody has a right to.
I'm not sure you can do it case by case like that for employees. It's either an allowance or it's not allowance according to certain parameters.
Yeah.
I don't know that you let each department decide. Doesn't seem
I'm not
like
sure
an
what the
appropriate
difference
way.
would be, as long as the employees meet the criteria of the doctors know, whatever it may be, then they're reimbursable up to 80 hours.
Yes.
I think something simple.
I sent something in, just as an idea of what might, do you guys have a chance to look at that? As parameters in part or whole? No? Well, I'm in agreement that we should have something in place for the employees
I think
to be
we all
able to
agree to
access
pay,
that.
but just don't know how you want to do it.
And I do think it should be retroactive. I do think there needs to be parameters that are established, and it should be countywide, not just by department.
I don't know where we was discussing this is all a countywide discussion.
Yeah, it would be all, for all countywide, it wouldn't be by department only. They would just have to submit it to HR showing that they have the doctor's note, so we could put it in their personnel file along with giving the credit for their time.
What do you mean by case then?
Well, every case is separate, but still they have to present their situation, but it was for everybody. I didn't.
Okay.
So like right now, when we get time, on our time card, it shows we have 80 hours. We wouldn't just give that 80 hours in there.
Right.
It would just be used as needed and not be, everybody's due 80 hours to be paid.
Right, how I documented the time last year is if anybody was quarantined due to COVID, I actually had a separate timesheet that I filled out for them to keep track of that, and they didn't put anything on their normal timesheet besides the letter C, and then I had their other COVID timesheet that had how many hours they actually accrued being off.
Are we going to make any allowance for them to go and get the vaccinated?
That's a whole nother thing.
That's a whole another issue on.
Well,
I mean, they can use sick
this,
time.
Could they not use this COVID time to go get vaccinated?
They can use their sick time to go get vaccinated.
COVID-ated?
COVID-ated. To go get, I don't want to get COVID-ated either. To go get vaccinated, they could use their regular sick time. And normally.
It's just a suggestion that they'd be able to use it.
Mm-hmm.
Just discussion, anyway.
But I would have said, would we say we're in agreement then that we need to allot 80 hours on the agreement that we have some checks and balances with HR?
I think I'm in agreement. Yeah, I'm in agreement with that idea to certain parameters, of course. One thing I was thinking about, though, is that since the vaccine's available, once the vaccine's generally available to the county, should we have a time limit on this COVID thing, or is it just going to be for now until whenever?
Goes away. Now until it goes away, I guess.
No, I don't think it's ever going to go away.
I think it is. I'm thinking positive it's going to go away.
Well, anyway, I suggest that there be a time limit on it. And
let's make a decision here then.
Well, not until I see the parameters.
That's what we're making a decision on. We're making a suggestion here on what we're going to do. So you're suggesting 80 hours of possible pay for COVID. That's what.
Well, Nita, could you send us some parameters maybe in the next couple of days on what you would suggest on the parameters?
Sure. Is there anything that you guys want included in those parameters to make sure that I cover all my bases?
We're not medical people. Unless
I sent some suggestions. I don't know that all of them are good or bad.
Okay.
There's some suggestions. Just pick and choose the ones you think that are appropriate.
Okay.
From
I can do
that
that
list.
And I'll just put it on for the next meeting. For you guys to approve or disapprove.
Well, I think we're going to have a special meeting coming up.
Yeah, we could put it on a special meeting.
Next Monday or Tuesday, we'll probably have a special meeting coming up that we might be able to.
Next to Monday or Tuesday?
Well, I think we are, depending on what happens on Thursday. But for this
But the main thing is we will take care of the employees. Yeah. We just don't know. Work out the specifics on it.
Yeah.
So
perfect. Yes, I can definitely do that. Thank you.
Okay. Public comment. We ask you to limit your speaking to 5 minutes. If anyone's got anything to say here tonight, it is your right to say. But like I said, we kept a lot of you a long time. And appreciate your sitting there. Anyone got anything you want to say briefly?
Is Clark Dietz here for a reason?
Did you have anything you want to say, or just talk to us when you're done?
No, just came out to see what's going on.
Didn't have anything else to do tonight?
No, yeah.
Okay, anybody make a motion?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting closed. I should have asked for discussion on that.
Tim, I think you asked for